Imagine a world without doctors, medicine, and era in which life and death work hand in hand closely, taking the lives of the young merchants without care. Diseases and death sweep clear the whole village, killing the young and the old. Imagine a time when to give birth was to risk one's own life for the sake of the baby. And this risk was always a gamble, for even if the mother survived, there was no guarantee that the infant would. Such was the world of the ancient people. In fact, survival was rare and risky. Taking medicine known as agbo and several concoctions was made for the mother and the child to enable safe delivery and bringing down the watchful eyes of the witches. Oracles were consulted. Ifa priest would prepare several sacrifices to the gods to keep the baby alive and the mothers. Life was harsh and survival was the goal. When two children are born together, they are called Ibeji. The word Ibeji itself is a construction from two simpler words. Ibi in Yoruba means birth and Eji, two, Ibeji. At that time, twinning occurred at a high rate of 45% out of every 1,000 births. In those days, twins' birth was a mystery to the people. The people believed that the mother had done something bad, making deals with the Aye witches or evil spirits. They believed twinning was common among animals, not human. For these reasons, they killed the twins, believing the death is to appease their gods. At times, the mother and the holy child that survived the dangerous delivery of birth. The mother in most times is allowed to live, while the child that survived is being exposed to death, as no one would move close to such child. Such child would be abandoned from birth because they believed to have one living twin would bring wrath of the deceased upon the people. So the birth of twins remained an offense punishable by death. All this didn't just happen in Yoruba land, but in most African territories. Calabar was one of those lands that believed in this theory. They believed having a twin was a result of an evil spirit and a curse on the village. They don't just kill twins, but also kill people without any remorse and had no sense of rights. But all this came to an end with the help of a Christian missionary known as Slessor. She decided to come to Cross River even after being told that Calabar was referred to a white man's grave. Mary was posted to a tribe in Cross River known as Okoyong. After she heard of so many evil they do, like killing women without remorse, whenever a woman's husband dies, she gets murdered alongside with her slave. The Okoyong people had the belief that they'll be able to serve the husband in the afterlife. Mary got so bothered and decided to learn their native language, Efik, with the intention of exploring into the village and preaching the word of God to them to make them change from their evil ways. She decided to live in the same huts of the natives instead of the luxurious houses of missionaries. She understood their native language perfectly without the help of a translator. With that, she was able to move closely with the people. Mary became completely native. She no longer dressed Scottish, but dressed like a Calabar woman. Mary traveled barefooted and even went to the point of drinking unfiltered water. The killing of twins became so rampant, and she was so sorry for those little babies crying helplessly in the hands of their killers. It was recorded that one day, as Mary was going out for evangelism, she saw a large crowd and quickly guessed they were about to kill another set of twins. She quickly jumped into the crowd and intervened for the babies. After a lot of plead and sermon, they eventually murdered those kids, telling her those babies were evil and if they were not killed, the villagers would die one after the other. Mary's heart was so filled with sorrow and bitterness, she left the crowd with an heavy heart. So the villagers adopted the style of dumping newly born twins at Mary's doorsteps. She wakes up in the morning to see them and she carries them inside her house after adopting them. Most times, these babies were dead before she gets to see them. At the time, Mary had a lot of babies living in her house. Many times, people in the Okyong tribe would fight against each other. On one occasion, there was a violent outbreak. Everybody had gotten in a circle to attack each other. Just in time, Mary came in between the two groups. One of the instigators threatened to shoot Mary if she doesn't move, but Mary stood her ground despite the threat. The instigators were amazed at this white woman standing for them and backed off. Sometimes Mary had to come up with something clever to intervene in the situation since the conflict was too far for her to get to before anyone got killed. On one occasion, she was nowhere close to the scene of the violence. Mary sent a runner with a piece of parchment paper wrapped with a velvet ribbon. Mary would make it look like an important piece of paper. The instigators would spend all day trying to figure out what piece of paper was until Mary would come and settle the conflict. She wondered what was always making these people fight, and she found out that most of them were jobless. So she brought up the idea of trading with outsiders to the people, which created intertribal peace as the villagers were trading with outsiders, which reduced their constant fights and killings because everyone got busy. Soon, Mary was made the judge of the Okyong tribe by the British government after they got impressed with her achievements. She officially placed a ban on the killings of twins and other brutal behaviors. She settled the disputes of the tribe, which stopped their violent ways. World War I struck in July of 1914. Even Africa was affected by the war. After about 40 years in ministry, Mary Slessor fell sick hearing the news of the war and landed in the hospital. She later recovered after a while but died in January 13, 1915. Thank you for watching another interesting story. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and drop your comments. Thank you very much.